Hello, venues. Welcome to Venue Help Desk. What month are we in? We're in May Power Hour. I'm going to let everybody kind of get settled in right now as we're waiting for others to join us today in the chat. While we're doing that, I'm always interested to hear about what venue you're from or what is your venue name and state. If you want to drop that into the chat while we're waiting for others, I'd love to know where everyone's coming from today. Yay, all right. Got Emerson Fields with us today. Let's see. I also have one of my fellow Venue Help Desk co-owners and founders with me, my husband, Ian Ramirez. He's going to also be helping me with the chat today and keep up with all those great questions. He may even drop a line to say hello as well. Right, all right. 5 to 5 wedding and event venue. Hi, Lisa. Also, the Manor at 12 Oaks Farms and Green Cove Springs, Florida, with Ashton. Yeah, we are recording. Wow, some great kind of all over the United States today. Thank y'all for joining. As we get started, I just want to welcome everyone to, again, Venue Help Desk Power Hour for May. We're going to be discussing sticker shock versus smart pricing, really uncovering the 5 common mistakes with pricing transparency that we're either making currently or we've all been making. So I'm going to give some of those tips and actually how to fix them. All right, let's get this going. Just a little introduction. Some of you have been joining us on our monthly power hours. Others are brand new to our power hours. What I want to do for you today, let's go ahead and share that screen. It is sharing right now, I believe. Give me one moment. Always a little bit of technical difficulties. Gotta share that with you just a little bit. All right, there's some information for you guys about Venue Help Desk for those that are new today joining us. If you want to learn more about Venue Help Desk, if you want to take a moment, scan this QR code. We have some great resources both on our Facebook page and Instagram. We even have a group you can join, especially to get all those great details of where we're speaking, resources that we're currently putting out. Also, it's a great place just to drop your concerns or anything that we can help you with, even partnering some of our vetted helpers with you through our group. Again, a little bit more about Venue Help Desk. We want to really help you attract those quality customers. We want to convert those leads to bookings and also optimize your operations. A little bit about me. So I am from the world of corporate America originally. Give me one moment. We're going to make sure our screens are sharing. Okay, good. I am originally from the world of corporate America, but joined our family's business. We're going on 14 years now at Madera Estates. We're located about 40 minutes north of Houston, Texas. We have a Spanish-inspired hacienda. My husband's family started the business, and then he became owners a little over 6 years ago, and then asked me to join him in that partnership. So what I brought on was my background around from major brands like Capital One. I've worked for major hospital systems, including Houston Methodist Hospital and MD Anderson Cancer Centers. Also, really got my passion for hospitality through the Disney College program when I was in college. So I said, absolutely, I'd love to join you to help our family business. And so that's been about now 5 years. And so what I love to share is my knowledge through that and what we've learned. We use Madera Estates as our lab as we're working to optimize and learn about our leads, the current generation that's coming in, and then sharing those results that we're getting with you to help you better your venue as you go back. All right, so let's jump into this about those 5 common mistakes that we're making with pricing transparency. Number 1, we're hiding our pricing completely. Number 2, we're sharing we're sharing our pricing without really giving the framing to the value of that price we're presenting. Also, we're overwhelming couples with too much details. Our 4th common mistake is hiding the dates or deals you actually want to sell. Again, our couples are not psychics, so you need to share those important dates that you're trying to push. And then also giving away our pricing without getting anything in return. And we'll talk about those tips too. So let's jump into the number 1 mistake, hiding pricing completely. The mistake, we are avoiding any pricing info on our website or in early communication, or we're even burying it so deep that couples can't find it. Why this hurts? Modern couples, especially our Gen Zers, expect transparency. If they can't find even a starting price quickly, they may go on to your competitor's website very quickly. Let's fix this. You want to share a realistic range of what your couples are typically spending, just enough to build trust or help that couple this is so important. We want them to self-qualify and make sure it's easy to find on your site or in your follow-up materials. Here's a quick fix, especially when we're trying to think of presenting that range. This is something that we actually use at Madera Estates. Most of our couples spend around that $18K to $36K with us, but final pricing will ultimately depend on a few factors such as month, day of week, number of guests, and services. So again, I am leading the horse to water. I'm getting them interested in that pricing range because again, we want to make sure we're not getting the tire kickers that are coming to try to host an event for $2,000 with us. So this really gives them that realistic range of the average of what our couples are spending. And again, those factors that play into that. Another important thing you want to do is include a tab on your website's homepage. Here are some examples from some of our venues we love to see this from. So here's one venue. They actually list in their tab pricing. Another venue will use the term packages. Another thing that we're seeing right now with venues using, especially trying to give that upscale feel, is they're using the word investment. There are some pros to using the word investment. It's the perceived value or a positive connotation, right? We're trying to set ourselves more of a higher standard. Investment has that feel to it. But there's also some cons. It can create ambiguity, excuse me, and low SEO volume. And then another thing that we're seeing on websites are wedding packages. When you're thinking about those keywords to use in those tabs, you really want to know what those couples, especially our modern couples, are searching for. Sarah does SEO as one of our venue help desk vetted helpers, and she has put some of those keywords together. So you can see wedding packages in your SEO really scores high, followed by wedding venue pricing, wedding venue packages. And then there's that word investment. it doesn't rank as high. So you want to be really cautious of how you're using the word investment, especially in your SEO search. Something I'll be talking about later on in this presentation, we do have a venue pricing guide playbook. More to come about how that can also help you with some of the information I'm sharing with you today. Our number 2 mistake, sharing pricing without framing the value. So the mistake, listing your pricing with no explanation, no emotion, and no connection to what couples actually care about. Why this hurts. When all they see is the dollar amount, especially in a cold, generic terms, they compare you to everyone else and don't fully understand the value. All venues have their own unique value. So you want to make sure you are sharing that with the couples, again, so they don't click and go from you. So let's fix this. Pair your pricing with clear, benefit-driven language. Explain what's included, why it matters, and how it creates an exceptional experience. Help them feel the value, not just see the number. Here's some examples. How do I convey this value? Focus on benefits such as stress-free planning, which we have at Madera Estates, a unique atmosphere. We're a hacienda-style venue, or cost savings. We are in the price range of what most of our couples are spending in our Houston market. So here's some ways to phrase this. Our all-inclusive packages allow you to enjoy the stress-free wedding planning experience every couple deserves. Another example, getting married in our greenhouse chapel offers a breathtaking, sustainable ambiance while minimizing your floral cost as well. Very important. Our full wedding planning package allows you to save time, savor your sanity. And you know those Gen Zers are wanting that. Hot take time. We get this all the time. I know with venue help desk speaking around the country, a lot of our venues bring up this concern. So this is very much a hot take. If I put up my pricing online, my competitors will see it. The truth, they probably already do. The real risk isn't your competitors. It's losing those couples who can't find the info they're looking for. Your value isn't the price, it's the experience behind it. So even the things I'm teaching you today and what Venue Help Desk presents, if you're not applying these, obviously they're not going to work if you don't put that value behind it. Let's talk about mistake number 3, overwhelming couples with too much details. So the mistake, listing on your website line items, all options, full catering menus, bar menus, upgrades, and fine print. Why this hurts? Too much info too early causes decision fatigue, which is the worst fatigue to have for your couples. It confuses rather than converts, and it may overqualify them. So how do we fix this? Let's keep it simple, clear, and visual, easy to scan. Focus on what they need to know to take the next steps, booking a tour. For example, at Madera Estates, you can package in a DJ with us, but I don't go into his music choices. I don't go into his lighting. I don't go into all of his options that you can add on. I just mention in our pricing that we do offer DJ services. Because again, I don't want them to be focused on the DJ. I need them to book a tour with us and not be worried about those services. Mistake number 4, hiding the dates or deals you actually want to sell. So remember, I mentioned earlier, your couples do not have a crystal ball, so you've got to get this out there. The mistake, keeping your availability, specials, or flexible pricing for less popular dates a secret until someone asks. Why this hurts? If a couple doesn't know you have a great deal or their ideal date is available, they may assume it's not and move on. So how do we fix this? Let's be proactive, promote inventory you want to fill, spotlight lesser booked months, and use special offers strategically to drive interest without discounting your core value. Okay, here's a quick fix. Ideas for promoting specific dates or deals on your website. Here are four. My favorite, homepage banner, especially if it floats up at the top. So as they're flipping through screens, they see this. An example of this banner can read, "Still dreaming of a fall 2025 wedding? A few prime Saturdays just opened up." Also, a dedicated hot dates or special offers page. List any specific dates you want to book, like Saturday, September 14th, or weekend weddings through December. So obviously this page you're going to constantly update. Another thing we use at Madeira Estates is a pop-up or an announcement bar. Just released, limited summer 2026 Saturdays are now available. So when our couple goes onto the Madeira Estates page, the first thing they're going to get is that pop-up banner. So again, that's top of mind to that couple. Add to your FAQ section. So your couple, especially your Gen Zers, are researchers, so they may go to your FAQ page. This is another way that you can make sure they don't miss that you offer specials. So again, the question on your FAQ, do you offer specials? Yes. Ask about our current promotions on select dates. This is a huge, especially for that researcher, to see that. Here is one of our venue friends here in Texas, the Meeker Mark. I really love how they showcase their dates, even with their clickable banner. So I've marked up here at the top. It says they have a 2025 dates on sale. Click here to see the specials. So that banner floats throughout their sites. When you click on that banner, it takes them to the page that I have in front of you, and then they list all of their dates. They even list how they've slashed prices on those dates. So again, you may have a couple looking maybe at Friday, the day before Saturday, March 1st, but they may change their date now because you may have not had that Friday available. They see that Saturday is available and it's discounted. So they may jump on that date. So again, you've pushed the couple to where you need to promote and sell. All right, let's talk about mistake number 5. Giving away pricing without anything in return. All major brands that I have worked for in marketing, we've always wanted to generate the name of the client, the consumer, so we can do more with them after they've inquired. Here are some examples. So that mistake, you are sending your full pricing guide without capturing a lead or creating a follow-up path. So again, you don't want them just downloading that pricing guide because this is why it hurts. You're giving away valuable information without any way to track interest or nurture the sale. So you're giving away that information and then they're gone. They've disappeared. So how do you continue to follow up with them? We don't like that word follow up, but how do you continue to nurture them through the sales process? Also, maybe updating. Maybe they're just researching you at the moment. Maybe some of those specials you're running. Again, you want to promote that later on to them. So let's fix this. Turn your pricing guide into a lead magnet. Collect a name and email before sharing it. Then follow up with messaging that guides them towards booking a tour. Don't be scared to ask for this information. Think of all the people that you purchase items from, especially as you're inquiring. If you're looking at a certain website, they may ask for your email address and they may give you a discount too for providing that email address or a text message. Again, you don't want your lead just pulling your pricing guide and disappearing from you because you just don't want that one touch. So if you would like some more information about a lot of the details I've talked about today too, we have our venue pricing guide playbook. It's right now up on our shop if you go to venuehelpdesk.com. I'll be also pushing this through our social media too, so you can easily find this. But it's going to give you clarity on what belongs in your pricing guide versus your tour packet. We get that question a lot, like how much information is too information, or what if I don't give enough information? This guide is really going to help give you those best practices of what to include. Also, it's going to be the psychology behind pricing guides and why simplicity sells. I think over the 5 years I've been at Madeira Estates, it has been remarkable of how much we have simplified things because we just need them to come in and book that tour, but we also want to qualify them. So there's a good balance to that. And then how to present your packages and pricing without causing confusion. So again, these, and I'm always use my Gen Zers, if you have a lot of roadblocks or confusion, they're going to move on to your competitor. If you're like us in the Houston market, I have venues all around me. So that is the worst case scenario. So again, you do not want them going to someone else's site because you may lose that lead. And then catering and bar inclusion strategies. You know, how do you present this in your pricing guide? How do you partner with those groups and be able to market them, but also market yourself within that? And there's also some more details that will be included in that playbook. If you're interested in that playbook, you can grab a copy just for $97. Again, I mentioned it's on our venuehelpdesk.com page, but here's an easy QR code to directly get to it. Some great information. Again, if you really want to take those 5 mistakes I talked about today and really hone down on them to make them even better with some examples, because we're all busy venue owners and busy venue pros. This is going to get you there very quickly. Also, any of the information I talked about today, or if you want to share with your team, especially for onboarding, we will present these power hours in a replay. So if you join our Facebook group, again, here is a QR code to do that. We will post this up on the group. So again, you can share with your team or watch later, or maybe you had to jump out a little early today or joined us late. Again, we'll have the replay up for you in the next 24 hours. Save the date. So we have fellow co-founder and owner of Venue Help Desk, also owner of Madera Estates, and my husband, Ian Ramirez. He is going to be giving a power hour called Make It Count: Smart, Slow Season Strategies for Wedding Venues. He is the czar of this. He has really changed the business of Madera Estates, of how we look at slow season strategies and fill our calendar. So make sure you save the date. It's going to be on Tuesday, June 17th at 1 p.m. Remember, it's Eastern time for that. If you're not able to join us on the 17th, go ahead and register. We will have those replays so you can watch that, especially I know as it gets into the summer season and vacations are happening, hopefully for you guys in the venue world. If you really want to take a deep dive and use this, this is something I find venues can use this as a resource, especially for the onboarding process of your sales team. This is something that we use at Madera Estates as we're starting to onboard our sales team members, just because we want them to all be on the same page of how we sell and our strategies. We are right now offering, it's called the Lead Conversion Lab. Check this out by going to the QR code to enroll. You will see a list of all the items it will include and how to use these tools for your venue. Again, we're doing a special offer right now. Is $597 instead of the $997. It's actually valued at a higher price than that. Again, this is how we onboard our sales team. So great resource if you really want more guides and tools on leads. Open discussion. I'm going to have my husband help me with some of these today. Any questions about what we went over or topics you want to go over, especially when when we're talking about those 5 mistakes? Pull up our message window too.
I have it open.
Do you want to read some of those to me?
Yeah, there's no questions yet.
No questions yet. Another, I call it marinating. You may leave this chat today, or you may see this chat or the presentation at a later time. You can always email hello@venuehelpdesk with any questions. Also join our Facebook group. That's a great place to ask some of those questions as well. We only allow venue owners and venue pros to our Facebook group, so it's not a place where you're going to get sold to. It's really a area for the support that you may need. A lot of us are looking for support instantly too, so we try to answer those questions as quickly as possible. And if we cannot answer them, we have vetted helpers that we utilize to support you with those questions because we can't know everything. So we want to leave it up to those helpers that have been vetted by Venue Help Desk for those resources.
I have a couple questions.
Great.
I'm gonna go back to an earlier one that Lulu asked.
Okay, Lulu's question.
One of our former university graduates.
Oh, a Venuversity graduate.
Yes.
Hey, Lulu.
She asked earlier, and I just want to have you talk about it. When you put the range on your website, right, is that the subtotal or the inclusive price?
Good question. I get that question from our couples. And so that's why it is important to really state that those numbers can change based off your date, your guest count, and what you've included in your package. If I have a couple that really, and I actually had a message before this power hour, they want to actually see a little bit of more of a proposal for their guest count, their date, and some services. So I will try to give them that number in more of a finite range than a wide range, but I find that range is a really good conversation starter. And then you can go from there of how, especially how warm that lead is. Because again, the goal is for them to book a tour. So what I do also explain is on their tour, I'm putting together proposals for them that will better understand, or I will better understand the needs of what they're looking for on their wedding day. So again, I really sell to the point of every wedding is different at Madeira Estates. So that's why we have those ranges. And then on the tour, I can better put together a proposal for them that matches really the realistic number they're looking at.
Great answer. Now, as a hotel, Lulu could also be referring to, like plus.
Absolutely.
Like taxes, service charges, production costs, if you charge that. Do you recommend doing a range of what the subtotal cost could be or everything together inclusive cost range?
At Madeira Estates, we have transparent pricing, so I like to include everything. I have found that our couples, whether they're saving on their own for their wedding, or I also call them our salespeople, they may be going to a parent or a family member supporting. So I want to make sure they get the true number. So when they get into the tour or when they, after the tour, leave and present those numbers, they're getting the range. So we're not in the back and forth or confusion. I don't want them to feel like they've been scammed or our pricing wasn't made clear. And I find that has been a huge sales point for us at Madeira, just putting it out on the table too, because a lot of our competitors do not. And I think, especially in the Gen Z of how they're researchers, they appreciate that too. They just want the honest answer and not to be sold to.
Great answer. Jesse Gaditano, I'm assuming you might be Italian.
Beautiful last name.
Is it better to send an inquiry a link to our pricing or send our pricing guide as an attachment? So I think answer the question based on, is it a link or is it an actual like PDF attachment in the email?
It all depends on how you want to capture the lead's information. For us, the only way for them to download our pricing guide is I do provide a link. They'll click the link and then they'll put in their information and they'll receive that pricing guide. But what they're also receiving on the back end from us is they're being put into a sales funnel, right? To continue that information to them. So again, my goal is for them to book that tour. It helps them self-qualify as well too, for them to get the tour booked. I find if you're just sending a PDF, I think it all depends. If I already have their information, we've already started some conversations back and forth. Absolutely, I'll send them PDF. We don't want to create any kind of friction to receive information, but just make sure if you're doing that, you're not jipping yourself out of them going into a sales funnel, or have the ability, which we do at Madeira Estates, I can manually put them into a sales funnel too. So again, you're going to navigate it really based off that conversation with your lead and what next step. So either way.
I think logistically, sizing wise, it's better to send the pricing guide as a link, maybe like a hidden page on your website, versus sending it via email. Just because if you send it via email, if it's too large, right?
Yeah, they
Sometimes
may
it's
not have
difficult
the,
to be able to open it.
yeah.
So Jesse, if you can hear my voice, when you send pricing information to them, if it is a document, I would upload it as a link on your website or a drive, just because it might be too large to send the file directly via email as a PDF.
Yeah.
Madison, we'll move on to our next question.
All right,
Madison
Madison.
says, can you talk more about how not to overwhelm a client with info on the website? We are all inclusive with catering and bar and house and have all menus listed online. I battle between transparency and that overwhelm.
So I think your couples are looking for specific things from venues. I think it is important to mention you do have all-inclusive packages. Do you need to go into the detail of what the catering food is? Do you need to go into the detail of the music the DJ is going to play? No, they're really just looking at kind of the higher part of the umbrella. So as they start becoming familiar with you, especially on the tour, that's when you can go over some of those details. On the tour, when the couple is finished with me, I will do a wrap-up email and I will include links to our caterers' menus too. So again, I am telling them I'm going to give them this information. Again, my goal is to sell that, get them to book the tour and then book our venue. So again, you don't want to overwhelm them with too much information where they may get sidetracked with what the vendor offers, not what your venue offers.
And Madison, for you, there's a new section in that pricing guide playbook where we talk about how you can show the value of your catering services, because I know you have a lot of catering in the house and a lot of options. Same thing with the bar. I think couples want to know you offer those services, but at the point that they're landing on your website, I don't know if that's an appropriate place to list your catering menus. Because what if there's something on there that they don't like, right, that takes them away from your venue?
Right.
So I think keeping it high level, like Paul suggested, is really the route to go. And then if you want to explore further, as I said, there's some additional strategies in that pricing guide playbook.
And I don't find that I get a lot of pushback with that. I think it's the confidence of your venue sales team to present that. I think we do have the luxury at Madeira Estates. I have a lot of Google reviews, and a lot of them will mention our catering partners, our DJ partner, and those. So also the reviews can sell that for you. But again, you don't want to sideline them with too much information where they're not focused on your venue anymore. They're really focused on that vendor.
Beautiful. Okay, we have another question from Deanna. She says, for Gen Z, if they do not like to click or be inconvenienced, which we know they do,
Yep.
How do we collect their emails before sharing full pricing?
That's a good question. A lot of times I will, I think it's really in the presentation of how you're putting it out there. I don't find that our Gen Zers feel like they're being inconvenienced. I always have this gut feeling, especially when a lead is looking at us, how serious they are. And if they're not willing to provide an email address to you, they're not serious about your venue. If they really are serious, they will provide that information. It's just up to you of how much information you want to collect. For me, I would not have them just send a ton of information up front. So like, again, their name, their email address is going to be key. If they want to provide a phone number, just make sure they know that they're going to be text to if you're using an SMS system. But that name and email address, I think, are the most important.
And I think, Deanna, to take that what Paul taught today one step further, it's when you're sharing your pricing, particularly if you do implement a pricing guide strategy, you want to make sure you're positioning it to where the couple is curious enough to download that
Yes.
pricing guide, but also simultaneously showing the value. So some of the value phrases that Paul taught you today, want to learn how you can enjoy the stress-free wedding planning experience every couple deserves.
Right.
After you use that statement, maybe you have a call to action that says, download our pricing guide to learn how you can enjoy a stress-free wedding planning experience. And so I think I would flip the script. While yes, the Gen Z doesn't like to fill out a long contact form, they don't want to be inconvenienced, they also are very stressed out. And so if we can alleviate that stress, I think that is a topic that they certainly care about. And then once they download that guide, you've gotten their email information already. And then you can go into, depending on where they're at in the buying process, a lot of full depth information on full pricing. But as Paul recommended, we tend to wait to do that until they come to the tour so that we can really showcase our value and explain to them what they're getting for that price. Veronica asks, hi, Miss Veronica.
Is this Veronica Annex?
Yes.
All right, hey,
Do you have any
Veronica.
strategies for conveying value quickly? We find that couples generally don't read everything.
I think you have to do a layered approach. I think it needs to be mentioned in multiple places when they're downloading the pricing guide, when they're first submitting that form. I think it's in your Instagram. I think it's on your website. So again, they're not going to read everything, but if they can just read some of those main key points and capture them in some of your layered approach to your marketing and some of your communication.
Yeah, and I think
so say it again, say it again, say it again.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of strategies for venues, and some of the venues, not to get off topic today, right? You see a lot of what is being produced on social media transitioning away from just, okay, let's showcase the beautiful pictures at our venues, but we're also now becoming educators, right? In terms of educating couples on what weddings cost, how to enjoy that stress-free wedding planning experience, and really allowing your venue to be that resource and guide instead of a salesperson, I think is really important. So Veronica, I would challenge you, since I know you have a pricing guide, somewhere on the page where they download the pricing guide, make sure you're using one of those sentences that Paul shared today, or talking about something that we know this current generation cares about. And probably the biggest two, wouldn't you say, Paul, are going to be stress-free, right? Something regarding to that, or cost savings.
Yeah, value driven.
Right. So what are those two topics that couples care about, and making sure you're positioning that on that page, I think is really important before they start seeing your pricing.
And we won't go into this into heavy detail. Believe it or not, in the lead conversion lab that we're selling right now, there's discussions of how this works. So even for me, again, they're seeing it on the website. They see it in the emails that we send to them, that range. And then even when I'm qualifying the tours, I will use some of that messaging too about, here's the range that our couples are spending, right? So again, if they missed it somewhere in translation, they're gonna at least see it one time somewhere.
Okay, Ashton Barnes says, when clients receive the pricing guide, is it better to have the pricing at the top, or should it be at the bottom after establishing value?
Very good. Great question, Ashton. I think it's kind of in the middle, right? We don't want to lose them by bearing it down in our pricing guide. We want to pop that, pretty close up to the top. I think for how we do it at Madeira, we have basically any promotions that we're running when they first open up the pricing guide, right? So that gets them excited to keep going down. Then we have pretty much a high level messaging about the value of Madeira, right, on another page. Then they get into the pricing. And then after they get into the pricing, then it goes into the next section of talking about, again, value and then services that we offer. And then we have an area for them to book a tour after that. So again, good question.
Great question, Ashton. And I think too, I think a lot of venues get caught up in sharing amenities to showcase their value. And I think at the end of the day, where a lot of venues also miss the boat is not talking about the benefits that Paul taught today, right? Of stress-free planning, cost savings. And so being able to see, amenities, of course, are important to include, but then also ultimately, what is the benefit of booking your venue? And then sharing the pricing.
Yep.
Again, you don't want it to be too far away because, as somebody already mentioned, this current generation doesn't really read. So I think it's important to start off with some sort of range
Yeah.
on the website before they download the pricing guide, and then within the document itself, making sure you're positioning the amenities and benefits right before you go over to the pricing.
Absolutely.
And that pricing guide playbook really is pretty in depth about that as well. So if you're curious to learn more about how to do that, that's a resource for you. Lulu just responded to us helping her. She includes everything in that total price.
Awesome.
She's trying to figure out the best strategy for their website. Holly says, I've been using links. Yep, when you're sharing those documents, because they get pretty lengthy. She creates them in Canva. Yeah, and it can be updated live there, which is really nice. You don't have to go back and re-upload them.
Great suggestion.
Whenever they click the link, the updated information is there. The only hard part I've run into is the package is changed in the process. Oh yeah, but I think as long as they've gotten kind of like a general, unless they've drastically changed, I wouldn't be too concerned about that, Holly. Canva links, Jesse also says they've been using Canva links. Madison says, thanks friends, most people who really want to know will ask. Exactly. When it comes to the catering menus, the people that are really eager to know about the catering menus, they'll ask for it, and then you can send it to them. Veronica says, hello, maybe bolding keywords. Veronica, I assume you're talking about our conversation earlier about establishing value. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Where are you going to draw their eye to, right? On the landing page and in your pricing.
And there's some awesome, I mean, just going on YouTube or just some resources. If you're not a marketer, there's some quick things to learn. There's so many resources out there, and using bold words really help draw the eye.
Deanna Townsend says, thank you. All of this is very helpful. Also, when you list a range on your website, does that range include just the venue / bar cost, or is it an average overall wedding expense, including your venue and other vendors that couples can end up spending? Is it just what we offer? Is that range just what we offer? Or is it other vendors too, outside of Madeira?
So we will include the pretty much what we offer, that DJ. So for us, it's DJ, catering, decor, cake. That is the average. You know, if they decide to have beer burros or fireworks or those things, that can be on top of that cost, but that is not a vendor that we provide within what they could be spending with Madeira Estates.
Great question.
And that's something your tour really helps too with.
We have one final question. If anybody else has any final questions before we do this, be sure to drop them into the chat. Christina has a great question about specials.
Yes.
Have you ever put your specials in your pricing guide?
Absolutely. I think, like I mentioned, when they open up that pricing guide, I think having those promotion specials, those dates you're trying to push needs to be top of mind at the top, so they will continue. So as they go through our guide, they'll continue to scroll. We want to capture their attention. I call it the carrot. We want to give them that carrot and make them chase that carrot. So we want them to go down so they get to the pricing and then book the tour. But I think hiding that or putting it way low, you may lose their attention.
Paul, before we wrap up, we were talking about earlier today, kind of like the strategy of where to put these promotions, of like on the website, like you showed Meeker Mark's page, where they have the promotions listed there. And then we mentioned with Christina right now in her pricing guide, or in our pricing guide, we list it. What are your thoughts on putting promotions on social media?
Oh, so I think, again, my background was in corporate America marketing. I think when I joined our family's business, I think we were doing those things. We started really taking a step back and finding out the quality of leads that we were gaining from that. And you have probably found this out with testing this yourself through your venues. A lot of the leads we were getting were not qualified. They were coming to see what freebies we were giving. It was just generating the wrong tours or for me to qualify them. So I'm not a big supporter of posting your specials. Maybe if you are doing that, it's very high level of mentioning you have some offerings, so you can have those conversations to help qualify. But I think if you're just like, all Saturdays are now half off or whatever, you're going to get the wrong crowd in there because they're hearing half off. They're not understanding the value or the price.
Beautiful. Madison, are you offering? considering to offer a course or playbook on tours and the process from there to signing the clients.
Absolutely. So that is what is being put together right now. Shannon Tarrant, our other co-founder of Madeira, or of not Madeira Estates, excuse me, of Venue Help Desk, is in the works of putting that together. That is why it is important to follow our social media and Facebook groups, because we will tell you when the launch of that will happen. It is going to pair very nicely with the lead conversion lab. So again, look for that to come, but it will come out in 2025.
Yes, I need this too, Paul. Fabulous, Jesse. Yeah, so the lead conversion lab, as Paul mentioned, is really for those venues that are struggling to convert their leads from inquiries into booked tours. And then, as Madison was asking about, we will offer Tour to Yes Success. That will be another online course, on-demand learning. All of our courses from Venuversity are on-demand learning. So I'll drop one more time in the chat before everybody leaves today.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn more about Lead Conversion Lab or get on the wait list for Tour to Yes Success, it's definitely something that we highly encourage and have seen proven results, as some of our previous graduates have been here as well. So I'm going to drop in the chat before y'all leave. If anybody wants to sign up for the wait list for Tour to Yes Success, that is listed there.
All right.
Okay, one more question from Shelly actually came through.
Okay, Shelly.
How do you respond to couples when they already booked and then they see you offer special pricing? That's a great one.
I think it's in your messaging again. I know when we offer promotions, a lot of times in the fine print on either the ad we're putting out in the pricing guide or how we're conveying the message, it does say for new tours, it will have a range of when that happens. I think it's really important to make sure you state that. It's up to you. If you feel like a tour came in on a Saturday and then the next day you've launched a promotion, I would probably, just being a good steward of business, offer that. But again, I think it's really important that you put those disclaimers of who is qualified for this promotion.
And that's part of the reason, Shelly, why we personally don't do promotions on social media. Just for those couples that may be following us and they see we're releasing a promotion. I think it's important to, even in the example from Meeker Mark, they list specific dates that are on sale. They don't generally list like
all the Saturday
spring season dates are on sale.
Yeah.
That way, if a couple asks about it, it's like, well, that specific date wasn't on sale or on a promotion. And then internally, we only list our promotions really on our pricing guide.
Yeah.
So a couple that's already booked, are they realistically going to go back and download our pricing guide again? Probably not. But if you are using the promotions as a part of your social media strategy, or it is more public facing, the recommendations that Paul gave, I think, are very important to list. There's restrictions. And then of course, like if you release a promotion like a day after a tour just came in and booked, that's probably a little bit more difficult. I think pick and choose your battles if you're wanting to offer them something.
Sometimes if I have a hot lead, I had a great tour, but I know maybe price is still a concern for them. It is a great way to have a follow-up conversation with them too. So don't look at it as a negative. It actually can be something you can use as follow-up.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you all so much again. We look forward to meeting all the venues as we're out and about. We'll be at Wedding MBA this fall. Also follow us on our social media. And then again, we have another Power Hour coming up June 17th with the owner of Madeira Estates and co-founder of Venue Help Desk. My husband is a wealth of knowledge, has even taught me some great tips and tricks while I've been at Madeira Estates and have watched our sales increase and having some of the best revenue, especially in 2025 in our 14 years of business. So thank you all very much. And I look forward to meeting all of y'all in person one day. Do I end or do I stop the recording? Stop recording.